This is Pod Populi.
Podcast for the people.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
Hi again, everyone. It's Brian Howie. Welcome to The Great Love Debate, the world's #1 dating and relationship podcast. Since 2015, I am back here in the very fancy studios of Pod Populi, Podcast for the People. I'm at the one in Boca Raton, Florida. There are a lot of critters here in Boca Raton, Florida. It was raining, and that stirs up a lot of stuff that you don't want to stir up. So, but I do love Florida. This is a topic I wanted to get into for a long, long time. Not only do I need to bring in an expert, and I'm going to bring her in a second, I needed to bring back a co-host because I didn't think I could do all the heavy lifting myself. She was on this podcast, I don't know, a month and a half, 2 months ago. She is the host of #NoFilter. She's going to leave her filter behind, I hope.
Always.
The lovely Julie Lauren. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me back. I feel like twice in a short period of time, I feel special.
You are special. Mm-hmm. Now, let's talk about that for a second. Special. People talk about what's special, and we try all these methods to meet each other and to get together and to stay together. And then some people are like, it's just fate. It's just written in the stars. Where do you stand on that? That takes a little bit of the personal responsibility out of it. I do kind of like that.
So I feel like our guest isn't going to love what I'm about to say about this, but I actually don't believe in it all. But I think she's going to change my mind. It's not that I don't believe in it.
She's here to change my mind too.
I don't really follow it, but I have friends who they swear by it. Like Gemini can only date a Leo. We do. The reason why this is, and I'm going to bring in our beautiful guest in a second. The reason why, there's two reasons why this topic gets me a little bit feisty. First of all, as many of you know, or probably could have guessed, I'm a Scorpio. And there's a lot of Scorpio discrimination in the world. When we did our live shows, for those of you who have been to one of our live shows, one of the things I do before somebody speaks before the audience is I make them stand up, I make them say their name, and I make them say where they went to high school. And people always ask, why do you ask people to do that? And I'm always like, well, people are nervous in front of a big crowd. It gives them something that there's an answer to, and it gives the rest of the audience sort of a frame of reference of where. About 5 years ago, I'm like, you know what? Let me try something else that's a little more dating related. And I go, let me say, stand up, say your name, and tell me your astrology sign, your zodiac sign. The Scorpio anger when somebody said that was so palpable. Scorpio and Gemini were so people like, I'm a Scorpio. See, I don't even know what that means. I don't.
It was so bad that I'm like, I'm not going to do this anymore because people are willing to rule out this percentage of the population, of which I am one of those. 8.5% of the population is a Scorpio. Another 8.5% is a Gemini, and they're going to rule those out based on that alone. So I stopped doing that. Second reason why this is that I have to say I might believe this. Mm-hmm. There's only one episode that I've ever recorded. You guys all know that I don't edit anything, but there's one episode that I did of this show that I buried. It's buried.
I'm gonna find it.
It's we had a Vedic astrologer on here. It was a good friend of mine, Carol Allen. She's delightful, and I feel bad about this. She read my chart in a way that was so spot on, so precise. So, why don't you get along with your father? So, based on a handful that I could not handle that level of vulnerability. This is in the early days of the podcast.
I'm finding the episode.
This is like 2015. I'm just like, I freaked out.
Wow.
So then I can't say like, I don't believe it because she knew everything about me then without really knowing that. So I'm going to bring in a pro who's going to answer a lot of these questions and hopefully put our fears to rest. And we're going to say it's written in the stars. She is the host of the Stars About Stars podcast. She's from Ukraine.
Correct.
She's very good at English, but
and she's stunning.
That's just why, like, I don't want to have video on this podcast because you guys will be so distracted. Iryna Kutsenko, how are you?
Wow.
Hello, guys. Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you, Julia, for having me here in this beautiful Pod Populi studio. I'm always happy to host my podcast. You know, my journey in the United States started with you, and I'm blessed every day to do it.
What do people get wrong when they say, I understand zodiac signs. I understand horoscopes. I understand. What is it that the layperson is like, that's not right?
You know, first of all, if I would answer you as a psychologist, first of all, there is no good and bad. There is no right.
Oh, there's bad.
Correct, not correct. And there is no good or bad sign. When people speak about astrology or horoscopes, what comes out to your mind first? That newspapers, old style newspapers, when you go on the last page, I don't know, I think in your country it was the same type of stuff. Or after long advertisement on some TV show, you just hear, okay, I'm waiting. I don't know, should I believe in that or not? Oh my God, I'm Gemini. What life gonna bring me this week? And after your have this forecast and you're already magnetized and you're waiting for love to come or luck to leave you this week, you know, so you actually put it in your head. As an astrologer, I would tell you there is a science that came, if we do believe, I'm not an person who is studying the sky, you know, because astronomy and astrology, there are two different, very opposite things. But first astrologers, they were Sumerians, priests. It's like
I didn't know that.
Yeah, in Babylon. So 3000 before Christ, astrology started to be discovered, and people left these little notes how sky influences us and our destinies on these little things. So probably it should be something right in that geometry and mathematics and the type of predictions. So if we believe in a little bit in history and different science that are quite very well connected to astrology, then we do believe probably that it can be a part of scientific research in the world.
Well, a lot of, Greek mythology, they used to look at the stars and these were the gods and all that kind of stuff. And it matters when we're born and it matters where we're born. Is that true?
Absolutely. So when we speak about horoscope classic, it's something like general. You know, in astrology, we call it cosmogram. It's what about your zodiac? But it's very general. You can't say that all Scorpions going to fall in love, all, I don't know, like Leo going to have corruption in business and so on. Where everything matters. Place of birth, place of living, because since you change your place of living, your destiny changes a little bit with the houses of horoscope, and definitely time of birth, as you mentioned, Brian.
Wow.
It's totally formula.
So is there something a mother giving birth can slow it up to give the kid a better chance at love? Or it's
a good question.
Or is it just two people match up depending on, or is there a better time to be born? Is that a strange question?
You know, my mother, she always told me you had to be born 8th of March because I was born 11th. And I'm quite, fighting kids, for justice and so on.
Wait, so only a few days makes a difference?
Oh, no.
A few hours makes a difference, right?
Minutes make a difference.
Minutes make a difference.
They do. Because let's say two twins. Yeah, two people, twins.
Right.
Why they have different destinies?
They took more room in the womb and they did that. That's a good thing. Their personalities can be different. Is there something to be said? Does the older one have a dominant trait generally, or?
No, should be the same. The same family education, probably the same nationality, the same mentality, the same feeding habits, because that's what usually happens in families. Everything the same, probably the same school. What is the difference?
The time, I suppose, but wouldn't the same person born at a certain time isn't automatically going to have more success in love? They're just going to have different paths to finding those people? Am I getting that right?
Let's say like this.
Okay.
When you imagine the sky, one person is born on the planet, no matter what, boy or girl. So at this second, we have triangle. Yeah, now we are sitting three of us. So we have some kind, from geometry point of view, we have, we are related. We are opposite each other, or we are making conjunction. We are next to each other. The same thing happens in the sky between planets. So when you're born on this planet, they have fixed location, and they have location in all zodiac signs. So for example, you could be Scorpio, but your Venus could be planet of love in Sagittarius.
Right.
And so on and so on. So that's why every second counts for the four.
So do I tell women that? No, I'm a Scorpio, planet of Venus. Does that is there a whole document that I should just walk around with?
Some people want to know that. I have friends who are I will only date certain signs.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
They will, or they will not. I know. People don't want to date the Gemini. They don't want to date the
Why?
Scorpio.
I don't like
the Scorpio. Just in a nutshell, they think the Scorpion stings. The Scorpion is going to hurt you in some ways. Is that fair?
No, usually Scorpio hurt themselves.
Or they hurt themselves.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. And then the Gemini is split personality, right? By nature.
Yeah. Let's say it
Not to stereotype, but that's why we're here.
But that's what it is.
People do stereotype. Yeah.
Yes, people do stereotype, but they forget that so many planets that actually create your character plus influence on society, your education, and so on and so on. Let's say my example, I said last zodiac on the planet I would date in my life is Gemini. Guess who's my boyfriend?
Gemini.
Perfect. And he's on cusp. He's on cusp from Taurus to Gemini. So, and and we, thank God, we are doing good.
You're a good
together.
match.
I heard that phrase a lot. What does cusp mean? Near, like just towards the border?
Thank you. Yes, it's on the border because every 21st, 22nd, zodiac changes.
So can you tell me what a Capricorn should be with? I'm Capricorn.
So that's what you can't generalize
I
because
see,
usually
okay.
if we say you're Capricorn, your element is earth, probably you should be with water. I'm Pisces. Represent water element, but it doesn't mean that all Pisces or let's say Cancers who are water as well going to fit you so much.
Got it.
Because Gemini and Pisces, they don't fit. It's air and water.
I
But
see.
in reality, we see other planets. They match. That's why it's important to know. Not that you're going with that paper.
But maybe we should.
But it's
I need to carry my chart around.
Yeah.
Is astrology? I almost said Australia. That's down under. Is it a bigger deal in America, or is it a bigger deal in other countries? Is it looked at differently? Do people in other countries look at it?
East. Sorry.
It came from the East.
Yes, it came from Mesopotamia, from Iraq, from East at all, from Egypt, and from here we got the knowledge. In America, I think like it's modern country, and probably knowledge is like Western astrology as well. That is more practical astrology. There are a few of those different types. I think it's highly used. For example, like you had very big. Bill Bakula was a producer of this Waldorf or something like that. He was Brazilian guy, I guess. Oh my God. Walter Mercado, excuse me. He was huge modern astrologer. And it was a big deal in America, as I know.
Did you have in Ukraine, did you have the little horoscopes in the newspaper? Like
We do it all. I think
I still
So
have
it's the
those
same.
here.
I know we still have those here,
Yeah.
and people look at them. How literally should they look at this stuff? Is it just a guidance? Is it just entertainment? Is it, if you really want to get into this, you have to do a chart reading? Is that right? You have to really go into the time, place, and everything, and not just spend like, I was born on March 15th.
Yeah, it's like very general thing because your zodiac create transit. Transit, it's like period. Let's say you're going to be lucky. You will have fortune in love, in career, in everything. You should pay attention while driving, but it's very general. So it's better if you want to dig and be very precise to pick up good dates for your business startups or something else, then you should go to visit astrologer itself. If you take it easy, you go with the flow, just let it be and read horoscope for fun and let's see how it works for you.
Do you want to know when everybody was born when you meet them? Do you need that information?
Oh no, because it's a lot of job for me to process every person. So if you're my client or my guest in this studio,
Then you would know. That's why you always
So you're not
ask.
trying to figure that.
No.
Can you guess? If you knew somebody, could be like, I bet they were born in July.
No, people ask me that type of question, like usually I don't do that, but I can see some kind of influence because there is always ascendant, your second sign. So let's see if you're very confident and you're very on fire, because there is something from Leo, probably that could be or zodiac Leo, or maybe ascendant in Leo, or moon in Leo. So I can generalize it a little bit, but I don't like those guesses.
All right. We're going to dive deeper into this and figure out how to use this to find love. I'm here with Iryna. I'm here with Julie. We're talking about stars and a whole bunch more. But we got to take a quick break, and I will be back right after this. And we are back. How can somebody is it better off to understand yourself and your sign chart reading stars than other people? Or is it better off to find somebody of a certain type? Does that make sense? How do you use this information to try and match with somebody that's going to be more probable workout?
I'll answer this way. I don't like clients who come to me and say, I have 3 boyfriends. I don't know whom to pick up.
Do people do that?
Yes, I had that type of girls that say, could you help me? I said, no,
Pick the rich one.
Yeah. And the very good looking one with muscles.
Yeah, so you know what I answered always, choose yourself. That's your life, your karma, your responsibility. And what I could be helpful afterwards. When we see his map, natal map, that is individual horoscope, and your natal map, and we see what is his individual traits and features that are important to understand him better, as well as understand yourself better, and how you guys can find the way of communication with each other, no matter what, love, business, or just everyday stuff.
So you're not a psychic. You're not trying to predict their future. You're trying to measure possible compatibility. Is that how you would use this in love?
Yes, I love when people take their decisions coming back to giving a birth to a child. There is in astrology, like astrology can pick up the best hour as well. I don't do 2 things. I don't predict any type of day of death and day of birth. I exclude it. I don't want to be considered to be future teller. I'm astropsychologist. I work with people who know and aware what they're doing in life, who took their decisions, they take responsibility for their life. I'm there like for them to help, to analyze, to realize what they're doing, and to find the best way of communication with yourself and with the world. Or for example, you tell me, I'm opening Pot Polai. I said, oh my God, Brian, it's so great for you. And it totally corresponds to your karma. You took that decision. But if you tell me, Iryna, could you help me to pick up the best day that I want all my clients will be happy? It's going to be wow. So that's what I can do for you.
Really?
Yeah.
That's valuable information.
Yeah.
No wonder you have such nice clothes. Yeah, you charge a lot of money. How far... You can't change when you were born, and you can't change where you were born. Is it a matter of understanding the information and then being able to make choices that will benefit you, or do you try and then find somebody who balances that? How do you incorporate another person's stars into your own? That's the question, I guess.
Well, you go and see Iryna.
I know.
I would say like this. You can choose your place of birth, definitely, like your time of birth. But psychologist and psycho person who is sick, sorry for bringing this as an example, they have very similar aspects of birth. But one person works it out, understanding his nature in a good way, in a positive way, and the other person decided to go broke, and take it as a disease. Life isn't predictable, but there is, some kind of help as a prediction there. So you choose how do you want to use that aspect for you, in positive way, in negative way. As well, when you collaborate with the other person and communicate, for example, I know myself, I'm very Russian personality. From one side, it gives me a lot of benefits because I'm opening doors. From the other side, I'm doing mistakes. So I brought into my life, I attracted unconsciously the partner who is going with the flow, take it easy, he doesn't make any plans, last minute guy. And at this second, I'm dying mentally. Right. So now I started to be there, say, oh my God, that's so cool. So you can trust the universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You really, like sometimes it comes out in the best way for you with no planning. So that's how you match.
Wow.
Understanding yourself.
Yep.
And doing the work to not overanalyze, but to self, how do I feel about that's always a positive. I'm in favor, whatever that is, this sort of introspective understanding why, instead of blaming others for it. The more you can understand yourself, I think the more ultimately you can understand not just other people, but your interpersonal relationships with other people. Mm-hmm. That being said, is it a good question to ask somebody on a date, or are we amateurs and we should not even get involved?
They have that on dating apps where you but you put your
who do you want to date?
Yeah,
you're like, I want to date somebody, and then somebody are you just like, no, trust a professional, don't even think about this stuff, or should people think about this stuff?
You mean to ask about zodiac?
Yeah, like what sign are you?
It's nothing wrong with that. I think women even love it, because it's some kind of
it's a conversation.
trick. They say, "Oh wow, he's curious."
But then they might write someone off right away because of that, and maybe what if that's their soulmate?
It's judgmental. Or you're like, yeah, well, you couldn't write somebody
It's
off.
some kind of stamp, like, oh, okay.
You're an Aquarius.
You're Aquarius. That's it. They're not serious. Too much friendly, So better, to take it easy or make a joke on that. But if it's important for you to understand, like a little bit the personality, of course, it's a good thing to ask.
And people do. I've never figured out, are people more likely to assign the characteristics of the sign to themselves and take that on because they're like, oh, I'm a Leo.
Exactly. Right.
Or is there something to that and you do act a certain way? Because I get that all the time, and it's not a compliment. They're like, you're Scorpio, right?
I didn't know anything about a Scorpio.
I get that all the time, and I think that's an insult because I know the reaction to it. They just say that right away. You're a Scorpio, right? I'm like, how do you know that? And they're like, there are certain characteristics. Well, what do you do about that?
You know what is Scorpio, for example? I just said that on YouTube, one of my latest, not episodes, but I did some speech about, what eclipse does to you. And I spoke, how does eclipse that is happening right now influence all people that becoming more and more emotional, especially Scorpions. Why? Scorpions are considered to be the most spiritual zodiac, first of all. They are the most transformative. First people they hurt on this planet is themselves. Because sometimes, yes, they could be, in general, we are speaking very generally, explosive, but they are living this life. Their mood can change 24 times per day. Every hour it could be a change. And they feel it with their heart, but they feel somebody's pain. And they, when they're happy, they are there for you. They are very transformative.
Is Mercury in retrograde a astrological thing, or is it an excuse because women can't program a toaster?
That whole no, it's true. Like, I didn't believe in Mercury in retrograde, and then everything was going wrong like several months back. Like, I think from like a technology standpoint, and someone's like, Mercury is in retrograde. I'm like, okay, I guess I believe it. I don't know.
What does that mean?
Okay, so Mercury is a planet of communication. Retrograde, when planet is going in the opposite direction. So planet of trade, communication and contracts and everything is taken like the opposite side. It's not good. So it's going to happen, I guess, from 1st to 15 this month. And you should be more attentive, better not to sign any kind of contracts, agreements, not to start up nothing important for you, not to make proposals, let's say.
That's half the month.
Right. What do we do in business?
You're making that bullseye real small to hit.
No, but you continue what you're doing. You started it a long time ago, so you're doing fine.
Right.
Just for example, if you decided, I don't know, to buy new huge equipment for
Okay, so don't buy new equipment.
Yeah, don't order it. Order it at least,
the 16th.
16th. Beautiful.
Okay.
Better even after 19th. That's that's
22nd. Make all.
Yeah,
transactions.
it's gonna be new moon. So perfect.
Well, let's talk about the moons. Is a full moon something, or it's nothing?
Oh yeah, that's a lot of
good or bad.
What should we not do during the full moon?
We are 70% of water. If moon influences oceans and seas, so probably and influence level of the water in our body. So we become so touchable, so sensitive and emotional. So we can cry, women can cry, react. So like watching the movie, man can fight or while traffic, while driving, could be very explosive. So better not to start any kinds of conversations that can blow up,
So there's a pull from the moon on water, which is 70% of us.
Absolutely. That's
look at that, Julie. That's a fun fact.
Not a fun
fact.
I didn't know that. I mean, I know the full moon's a big thing.
So what is the opposite, the eclipse? What should we be doing during eclipse?
Eclipse, it's what is happening now. It's corridor of eclipses. So there is sun eclipse that started to be 20th of April. And new moon as well at the same time, and up to moon eclipse in 5th of May. So this is corridor of eclipses. What does it mean? Whatever you do during this time, going to be very transformative, very life-changing, will last for 9 months, 1 year and a half, 9 years and 18 years. So let's say if you're doing podcasts during this year, probably it's going to be your business forever, for a bunch of
So if someone like proposes to their future fiance, they could last 80 years?
Yes, but I would better wait just in case, but let's say the process could happen, but better not to sign, sorry, I don't know how to call it in American English, administration, where you sign for your marriage.
Oh, your marriage license. Yeah. Okay,
Right.
so don't get married for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, so
Don't go to the justice of the peace. Don't go to the courthouse.
yeah, don't deal with papers. Let's say if it's emotional move, okay. So because whatever happens during eclipse, it's gonna last forever, for ages. It's gonna influence your life. So if you cry and you're, let's say, bad example, doing drugs, that's probably gonna influence you for a long time, and you're gonna continue. If you're party too much or whatever. So pay attention to do cleaning, something
like a cleanse.
nice.
Is it good to go on a first date during a full moon, or is it screw your emotions up too much?
No, it's going to be a lot of emotions. Full moon usually, and people don't sleep like 2-3 days that time. So maybe you're going to,
it affects our sleep patterns too.
Sleep.
This is why I don't like believing in this.
Yeah, I know.
Alcohol
it
as
just
well.
gives you excuses,
But it's good to put responsibility on somebody.
That's true.
So somebody comes to you as a client. What's the process? What do you do?
Okay, so my first question, what are you doing?
Why are you here?
Yes, because
I need answers.
Yeah, usually nobody who's so happy doesn't visit an astrologer or psychologist.
They come in like, let's figure out what's wrong.
Yeah, what did bring you here? So person tells me, okay, what is his or her request? After I ask, let's figure out what is your request for a session. Because I have been psychologist, it's very important to understand, really. People don't know how to pronounce their goals or dreams, how to figure them out. It's better to do it in written. Second thing, I ask all dates, that is time of birth, place of living, and date of birth. And of course, name, I don't need surname. But usually I do that before, while call for 15-20 minutes, that is for free. And since there we go, we find the best day for a person to come, and they take 1 good hour of conversation about that person.
Wow. Brian's like, I think I
and you're trying to, they can't leave feeling worse. You don't want them to feel worse.
Never.
You want them to feel better. How will they feel better from doing this?
Even when I see some shady sides of person, let's say I see somebody is lazy. That was my cousin, I saw, oh my God, I said, that's my cousin and he's so lazy. And he's super smart boy, So genius can be, I find an example from history or literature to give inspirational mood and say, listen, all genius, they're lazy. That's why, Pythagoras, they came out with shorter versions of formulas and they became part of the history. Sounds cool. And people are flying out there wow, I'm so special. That's my thing, to inspire you, to see even if you're jealous, to show that, wow, you can write poems based on love.
Can I ask you some Ukraine questions?
Of course.
When did you, because your English is very good.
I appreciate it.
A lot of people from Ukraine say that they learned English from watching Friends. Is that true?
Is that really what they say?
They do.
Oh my God.
They're like, that's the fastest way to understand 6 different people talking at the same time.
True,
No,
yeah.
not true? When did you start being fairly, because that's not it's not like Sweden where people grow up speaking English, a lot of people.
Brian, I really appreciate a compliment from your side. Actually, I'm not really satisfied with my level of English, missing vocabulary, and especially being a podcaster, never enough. But when I was 13, first time, I left to Cambridge. My parents understood that could be a very good investment for my future. So since 13 years old, I was between Ukraine and Great Britain, but it was partly, let's say, if I got good marks at school for 9 months, they sent me for 3 months to live in host family or pre-university school. So that was my beneficial every year since 13 with different languages besides English.
Wow.
What do you dream in?
Dreaming now.
What language do you dream in now?
That's what you mean. Good question. Actually,
You're going to think about that tonight.
I never thought about that.
I think that's
I'm
when it
thinking
flips.
in English, but
You're
I don't
thinking
know
in
what
English. You do.
I started to think in English.
What is the biggest difference between dating in Ukraine and dating in America? What do we do differently that we could probably learn from there or vice versa?
That's a cool question. You know, I had only one experience with dating in Ukraine. In university time, I dated 5 years and a half the same guy. And he was a great guy, actually. But, you know, it didn't work out. I thought after 5 years and a half, I had a dream to live abroad. My mentality, it was always been somewhere else but Ukraine. And I love my country, especially now. Don't take me wrong. I think we have great men, but something is missing in nowadays. Forget about war times. You know, now it's not the nicest time to discuss men. They are various. They are there for their families and women. You see, they are very strong. But I saw we have a lot of beautiful women.
Yes.
I'm proud of Ukraine.
There's a lot of them in Florida.
And men started to be very spoiled. So, I admired when I could find like good, even friends, I had very good friends, men, and they dated girls and they were only there for them, building up families. I'm proud of that type of guys. So you have more family values, but I think this war, unfortunately, will teach us that way too, because now everybody's like, it's all about family.
Good. Good for you.
Okay.
That was good. All right. Tell everybody about your podcast and how they can find you.
Thank you, guys. So my podcast is Stars About Stars, the first astrology-based matchmaking podcast for love and career seekers. Everybody who has a challenging topic to discuss, or everybody who is living with an open heart and really looking for a meaningful connection for love and careers, you're more than welcome to text me, to find me in my old social media. It's always the same name, Stars About Stars. It should be TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and otherwise my email, Iryna@starsabouttstars.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was
amazing. I'm like, now I feel like
more during a full moon.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm like, should I set up a session with you?
Yes.
Like what?
I feel like I want more.
I know.
I'm not frightened like I was.
I know. I'm not either. I feel like a little blown away.
Gotta find the missing file here. Tell everybody how you can find #NoFilter.
Oh yeah, #NoFilter. By Julie Lauren everywhere you go on social media. BY Julie Lauren and #NoFilter anywhere you can get a podcast.
And as far as us, like, share, follow, please review this podcast, Stars About Stars, #NoFilter. Your reviews mean a lot in the podcasting ecosystem. Go to greatlovedebate.com. Check out our live tour schedule. Iryna came to our show here in Boca Raton. It was very fun, wasn't it?
Thank you. That was amazing.
Yeah.
I appreciate you so much, guys. Thank you.
It was good. Go there. We have shows coming up in Raleigh. We have a show in Tempe, Arizona, a couple others, not too many, a couple others, New York City. Greatlovedebate.com for tickets. Shoot us an email, greatlovedebate@gmail.com if you have questions, thoughts, or complaints about Scorpios, and we will try to do that for those as possible. Because we want to take it all on, because as always at the Great Love Debate, we never stop making love. See you next time.